The sixth lesson is an interesting concept. It's the idea that your audience is in the same frame of mind that you're in. Now, when I heard my comedy mentor say that for the first time, it made sense. And he was describing the idea that if you're bombing on stage, that if you simply just share what you're thinking with your audience, you'll get a laugh because that will release the tension, because the audience can feel the tension of your stuff's not hitting. You're not funny right now. So, but they want you to be successful. If you just say, "Man, I'd rather be anywhere else but here right now," the audience will laugh. The same thing in sales. If you're giving a presentation and it's not going the way you wanted it to go. One time I was giving a demonstration, and the first thing we would hook up was the electric skillet, and the electric skillet's preheating. You're getting all the other food ready, and you've started your presentation. You're going along, sharing with the potential customer, the couples, about the company, about the cookware, the features, the benefits, and then you say, "All right, let's start cooking." You go over, grab the plate of chicken, throw it into the electric skillet. Nothing happens. Now, if the skillet had been preheating, it would start to fry, and you would hear it start to sizzle and crack. But my heart sinks because I hadn't turned the electric skillet on. Now, the timing of the dinner, the timing of the demonstration, the way I had it prepared, it was keyed off throwing that first piece of chicken in the skillet. But I couldn't let that ruin the demonstration. I had to get that out of my head. And if you remember back to the previous lesson, being here in the moment with your audience is the most important thing. I had to make sure that I got that out of my head, that I didn't let that ruin the rest of the presentation, because if it did, it could potentially ruin the opportunity for getting additional referrals, for selling a set of cookware, and it could have the potential of wrecking my mindset for a while. But I said, "Oh wow, look at that. I forgot to turn it on. Let me do that real quick." And then I just started cooking the other items, and I was able to improvise because also the script had set me free. I knew the script forward and backwards, so it didn't really bother me that bad. And I made sure I had a good time because my feelings were going to be projected onto the customer and onto the audience. Same thing with comedy. I was performing at the Comedy Store in LA in the Belly Room. I had a bunch of new material planned, and in the middle of it, I forgot my next line. I didn't have the script in my bones. I even called out to my wife, "Karen, line. I didn't have it. But I couldn't let that ruin the set. I mean, I was at the Comedy Store after all. I went back to some material, tried and true, stuff that was in my bones to make sure that I was going to have a good time. But the audience laughed and had a good time with me in the fact that I had forgotten where I was going. So I've even forgotten right now what even this lesson is. But I'm not going to let that stop me from having a good time and sharing with you the lesson that the audience is in the same frame of mind that you're in. If you're having a good time, they're having a good time. And this translates even into the work that you do before getting to the work that you do. What I mean by that, if you're in sales, getting the appointment. Are you going to be able to get the appointment if you're not having a good time, if you don't enjoy what you're doing? Are you going to be able to get a referral if you don't have a good time? Are you going to be able to get a good gig if you don't have the confidence in your stand-up comedy? It all comes back together all the way to the point where I was practicing my presentation in the sales office one day, and Stan, my manager, said, "Are you having a good time?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Why don't you tell your face?" And evidently my face was intense, and it wasn't reflective that I was enjoying the moment. And I share that a lot with people I coach in speaking and in comedy that your facial expressions communicate just as much as your words. So if you video yourself as you're presenting, you can get an idea of what is it that you're communicating, and make sure that you're communicating that you're having a good time. Or if you're not having a good time, just know that that's what's going to be communicated. If you follow the idea, the lesson that the audience is in the same frame of mind that you're in, you'll be successful in sales and in stand-up comedy.